Donald Trump is an ID pretending to be a DI. He is incandescent first, driven second, and he affects to pretend to perform a persona who is driven first and incandescent second. He is Hal pretending to be Henry. I've noted that before. So what that means is that, yes, Trump works. That's his big claim to fame until now, his success in the marketplace. But if he is ID, then it's a very different thing than his being DI. If he were DI, then the showmanship would exist in support of the work, much like the life of Steve Jobs, who was DI, very much DI. For Trump, instead, the work exists in order to support the showmanship. The important job is the showmanship. As witness Celebrity Apprentice, for which Donald Trump is most famous. Celebrity Apprentice was a show about no businesses anywhere, about nothing other than celebrities mugging for the cameras and kissing Donald Trump's ass on TV. You want to talk about an incandescent display in action, kissing Donald's ass week after week after week after week, an hour or 2 hours at a time. This is the indulgence of the incandescent. This is a big incandescent tell on Trump's part. I have no doubt, I swear to you, I have no doubt that Trump is incandescent first and only driven second. And I will give you a way of proving this to yourself with one simple expression. What would Gail Wynand do? What would Gail Wynand do? If you are familiar with the Fountainhead, and if you deny that you're familiar with the Fountainhead, I'll begin to have doubts about your veracity. But if you're familiar with the Fountainhead, you're familiar with the character of Gail Wynand. He is a DI, built a beautiful DI in the form of Gail Wynand, and in so doing, committed a common literary crime, the idea of the long con, which I think is absurd. I don't think anyone can carry out a full-time performance of fakery without breaking once in a while, and we'll come back to that. But a DI isn't really doing a long con. A DI is doing what he's doing. A DI is always and only doing what he's doing. A D is always and only doing what he's doing, and a DI is doing it in a very flashy public way. But still, it's all about doing. There is no such thing as fakery or performance for a driven personality. All of that is just more doing. It's just part of the doing. It's what you do to get things done. And this is why Ds in general are to be taken with a grain of salt, and DIs in particular should be taken with a grain of salt. If you're looking for an actually successful con man, not an outrageous con man, not a flamboyant con man, not a hugely popular con man, all of which describe Trump, but looking for a long-term successful con man, a con man who works his con again and again and again and again and never gets caught, you're looking for a DI, not an ID. An ID will flame out because incandescents always flame out. It's in the nature of incandescents. They always flame out when they get what they ask for. This is the curse of Claudius, which we talked about a long time ago on selfadoration.com. And Claudius is a way of understanding Trump, an ID in power. An ID in power, Claudius is more an IS, but an incandescent in power will either flame out or will, in very short order, become a cautious tyrant, because it's the only direction they have to move is toward compliance displays. This is the disc of Sister Mary Elephant. We've talked about this before. Sister Mary Elephant is a CI, but any incandescent is going to show any incandescence anywhere in either dominant or subdominant characteristic. You're going to see Sister Mary Elephant sooner or later. I call it Aunt Peg when I see it in people who are generally sociable, generally nice, but when they get pushed too far, suddenly Aunt Peg comes out, and Aunt Peg is very stern. Aunt Peg is a milder, gentler form of Sister Mary Elephant, but Sister Mary Elephant is what Hillary, for instance, definitely is. She's a CI. We dodged a bullet by not getting Sister Mary Elephant in the first place as our president, but Trump, by being an incandescent, will in due course become more and more cautious and more of a cautious tyrant, and so he will become Sister Mary Elephant in due course anyway. But if you want to prove to yourself that Trump is incandescent and not driven, incandescent first and not driven first, all you have to do is ask yourself, what would Gail Wynand do? So, President Gail Wynand, were you dismayed by the diminished number of people who attended your inauguration ceremonies compared to those of outgoing President Obama? And the answer is, oh no, to the contrary. I am stunned and amazed that so many courageous Americans were willing to come out even in the threats of outrageous violence brought in the last months by agents of the Democratic Party. I am thrilled for those people. I'm delighted by their support. I am inspired by their courage, and I hope to live up to their confidence in me. That's the way that Gail Wynand would handle that. And in the same respect, President Wynand, how do you react to the hundreds of thousands of women who protested all across America yesterday against your policies? And President Wynand says, protest is a proud American tradition. It's exactly the kind of work that I like to see women doing. And as I've learned from my beautiful wife Melania, my lovely daughter Ivanka, and all the women in my life, all the women who work in my organization, women's work is very important. I support women's work above everything. So 3 cheers for those women for doing that important women's work. That's what Gail Wynand would do. And the fact that Trump and his minions didn't do that tells you that Trump is incandescent, not driven. He doesn't understand how a driven mind works, and accordingly, he can't deliver the goods. Hide and watch, you'll see. And that's all from me. I'll talk to you next week.